rise to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Mr. Hohenschel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hand?
Here.
Mr. Reitnauer?
Here.
Mr. Sheet?
Mr. Sheets is away traveling in business.
Mr. Stubit?
Here.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Walliver? Here. Mr. Wagner?
Here.
8 present.
All right, moving on to recognitions. I will turn this over to you, Mr. Potter.
Great, thank you. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Sorry for the delay in getting started here. We had an executive session ahead of time, so the board had some conversations before we got started. So, apologize for making everyone wait here. Monthly, we have a wonderful opportunity to recognize employees that rise above and beyond. We call it a New Heights Award. It's an opportunity for us to recognize staff throughout the entire month, and then we pick 2 people that really resemble what the New Heights Award is all about, and we recognize them essentially as employees of the month. So we'd like to recognize that today. We'll begin with Tanya Levan. So Ms. Levan, if you don't mind coming forward. Ms. Levan is one of our 6th grade teachers. All right, we'll get this. So let me just have if you can just bear with me for a moment. I'm going to read why Ms. Levan was recognized. Recently, Mrs. Levan started with her unit on Greeks with all of her class. To make this year's studies a little different, she worked with Mrs. Cognac, our technology instruction coach, to plan a technology integration activity for her students. Her goal was to have students create a media presentation. As students worked through the lessons, they researched facts, planned a skit, and selected video elements related to the topics. All the elements were integrated into the video, which they learned to edit and finalize in order to present to their classmates using WeVideo. As I observed in her classroom, students were fully engaged and excited about the learning. Those that were shy still forged through and completed their projects with smiles. By affording opportunities like this for students to participate in, Mrs. Levan is making learning interesting, engaging, and interactive in ways that are unique for each student. Activities like this take time and perseverance, which I see in Mrs. Levan's teaching style. She's willing to take on new activities that may seem first difficult, but she's always willing to try. Thank you for making our students' experience here at Brandywine Middle School such an exciting and engaging experience. Congratulations.
So again, those are just amazing accolades of what Mrs. Levan does every day. And some of our very cool new spaces that we have here in the middle school, she's utilizing for her students. But I think that really just scratches the surface of who Mrs. Levan is, knowing we have some former students of hers here. She's a tremendous colleague to the teachers she works with, the 6th grade team. They work so well together, and the things that they do for the students to keep the students motivated, keep the students on track, just speaks to their level of care for what the students should be achieving. But also at the root of all of it is she's one of the most kid-centered educators that you can find. Everything is done for what is best for this student. And we were just in a meeting on Friday afternoon, and she said to the kid, "I'm going to do whatever you need. Just tell me what you need." And we just kept saying that over and over and over again. But it's the thing that we say because it's what Mrs. Levan does every day. I think every student she has taught feels that care. Every student knows that whether they're, absolutely getting A's or they're really struggling just to pass their classes, she's going to be someone who's going to be a champion for them and to help them out. So Mrs. Levan is truly one of our finest, and I'm so happy to have her up here being honored tonight.
Congratulations. So next up, we'd like to recognize our high school cafeteria workers. So first, if I could have, who do we have here this evening?
I'm supposed to wear this.
So
I get extra credit.
that's right, you do. So this is going to make a lot more sense in about 2 seconds. So here's the New Heights Award. I am nominating Donna Klein for the New Heights Award for her swift action she took on February 28th at the high school when the dishwasher caught fire. If it wasn't for her, I think we would have had a building fire during the day when the building was filled with students and staff. This incident occurred about 12:40. Donna had noticed that the dishwasher smelled hot. She looked at the dishwasher and noticed that the element in the middle compartment was red hot, even with the machine turned off. She called the building and grounds, leaving a message. When she went back to the dish room, the middle compartment had flames starting to grow. This is where she is fully deserving of the New Heights Award. She went in and shut all the doors of the dishwasher and turned it on so that the water would run into the machine. That was what put the flames out. I can only imagine what would have happened had she not attempted and successfully in turning the dishwasher on. Luckily, we can only speculate and are able to appreciate the awareness she had in high stress moment to do all that she could to minimize the damage and ensure that no one was hurt.
I just want to say that every morning before I go to school, I always do devotions, and I pray every morning that God gives me the knowledge and the wisdom to know what to do in any situation that comes, because we have to be ready for anything. And when I sat back at the end of the day and seeing what happened, that was definitely somebody was looking out for me, that gave me to do the right thing to do to I knew if I shut the doors and I turned, the water was going to start running in, and that's what did that.
You heard me.
Yeah.
So Donna then nominated her staff. So Shelley's here this evening. There's 3 staff, Shelley, Barbara, and Susan. I'd like to take a moment to nominate these 3 ladies. They've been working without the use of a dishwasher for 2 weeks at a time. and we are not sure how long it will be without one. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They have been doing an awesome job of keeping up. It is not an easy job. We use a lot of dishes to prepare for the meals. Even without the lunch trays, it is a big job. So a huge thanks and kudos to Donna and Shelley and the entire staff. Mr. Jinish.
Being on the other side, anytime someone says, I think there's a fire, high stress moment, but to know that the staff that we had in place there could handle that situation was awesome. And then speaking on behalf of the students that I represent, just what they do every day for those students, just not just feed them, but then there's details that go into it. Our BCTC students leave every day with lunches now packaged very carefully for them because they're on a bus and then in program. And it's just little things like that every single day, hand washing those dishes, getting our students what they need nutritionally and dietarily for all the different needs. There's a true care for the students that comes out of our food service division, and it's awesome to work with these ladies every day. They're a positive point in that cafeteria, and 2 lunches full of plus 200 always pleasant high schoolers is sometimes I'm sure a task when you're starting to run low on some of the foods that are there. So it's a tremendous benefit to our building and a blessing to work with it.
We cook for you.
We cook for our kids.
And I think you probably know all of them by name too.
Yeah.
We give them a round. And then we'll make sure we get these over, unless you want to do them. I'll come over. We'll see. I'll come over tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next up, we have another special opportunity this evening. And Mr. Geist, if you don't mind coming forward, we have, how would you like to do this, Mr. Geist? Together, separate?
I will do it separate, I guess.
Okay,
So you might want me to take it away?
sure, you go
All right.
for it.
I'm going to start out, if I could have Dylan and his family come up here. Sorry, you have to come up.
Yeah, I didn't know I would be that forget.
It's my honor and privilege to recognize one of our finest athletes here at Brandywine Heights. Dylan Reinert's been wrestling here in this community since you were 5, correct?
Yep.
It hasn't always been easy for him. There's a great article in the Reading Eagle, if you ever want to look it up, about some of the obstacles that he had to overcome as a young child. And to see where he is today is a tribute to what he is. And he is a competitor. He works hard. He's dedicated. He's committed throughout his entire career here at Brandywine Heights. And when I say he's one of the finest wrestlers here at Brandywine, he's also one of the finest wrestlers in Berks County. If you remember, Dylan and I had a conversation a little bit early in the season. I kind of asked him, "Hey, what are your goals for this year? What do you want to accomplish?" And the one thing he said to me, he goes, "The main thing is I want to get to 100 wins." So mission accomplished. Yeah. Just so you know, that banner is already down and your name's getting stitched on that banner for everyone to see. Not just for this year, next year, but forever. You're one of the finest wrestlers in Berks County. And when I say he's one of the finest wrestlers in Berks County, I mean that because it's really hard to be all county in any of our sports. He's a 3-time all-county performer in wrestling. So Dylan, on behalf of the athletic department, thank you for your contribution and what you've given. You've given yourself, your commitment, your time, your dedication. So thank you. And I also want to thank Mom and Dad because since 5 years old, I know the dedication and commitment it takes for parents and what it takes to get your kid to and from practices to competitions. Wrestling is a unique sport. You travel quite a bit all over to get them to those meets and matches. So thank you for all you do too. So thanks again. Thank you all. And now I would like, because everyone's here, I'd like to call up the girls wrestling team. Everybody.
Oh my God.
Coach Schumann, you can come up too. I thought you were sitting back there. They're going to get away now. We're going to recognize our first ever girls wrestling team for their commitment and dedication. They are true pioneers. It's always hard to be the first, to put yourself out there and do something that no one else has ever done. And so all these girls here have done that, and they were very committed and dedicated throughout the season. And there wasn't a whole lot of matches. There wasn't a whole lot of competition, but they showed up and they worked hard all through the season. If you could go down the road, I'd just like you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, I'm Emma Lukanich.
I'm Aaliyah Suman.
I'm Jaden Roush.
I'm Mia Gottrell. I'm Ashley Mace.
I'm Holly Schumann.
I want to thank these girls for what they did. Some of these girls have been wrestling before. They wrestled in the youth program, in the middle school program, and when this opportunity was presented to themselves, they jumped right in and started this program. I want to thank Coach Schumann in particular. Since it was the first year, we kind of went into this blind. We had no idea of all the nuances with girls wrestling, trying to get them in competitions. And I want to thank you for taking the lead on that and helping us navigate this first year. Because I do believe that these girls set the trend, and hopefully it'll generate more interest and spark some more motivation for our girls to come out and participate. It's a winter sport, so we only have girls basketball going on, so we have a lot of girls in our school that can take advantage of this opportunity. When we started, many of these girls have started and were wrestling before, like I said, but this young lady here, Emma, decided to come out for the first time as the season already started. And not only did she work hard, but she placed third in the state. So congratulations. Once again, thank you for being pioneers in the girls wrestling. Oh, I have one other thing. Jaden, too. I want to give you props, too, because right now we're still working on getting sanctioned with PIAA. Our girls can be dual rostered on the boys team. Jaden is the first girl in Brandywine history to wrestle on the boys team. She actually wrestled a boy this year in a real competition. So kudos to you as well. Once again, put your hands together for these pioneers.
Great job, ladies. Thank you so much for coming this evening. And parents, thank you so much for supporting them and allowing them to do what they did this year. It's a pretty neat opportunity. And Dylan, huge congratulations to you.
All right, moving on. Student Board Representative Report. Tatiana?
In the elementary school, third grade students went on a field trip to the Da Vinci Science Center last week. They learned a lot doing hands-on activities and were on their best behavior. The elementary school thanks their PTC for all of their fundraising efforts to allow their students to have experiences like this. Mrs. Oles' third grade class won third place in the Berks County Sun Dog Math Contest. Over the last week, students in Berks County competed against other classes and schools. In total, 481 students answered 180,950 questions correctly. Mrs. Oles' students engaged daily in online math activities, demonstrating their accuracy and perseverance to succeed. Next Friday, students in kindergarten through third grade will walk across the street to the intermediate middle school gym to join fourth and fifth grade for a BMX anti-bullying assembly. They're expecting a very exciting show while learning about how to be a good friend.
Thank you. Moving on, Megan Miller, please.
Track, baseball, softball, volleyball, boys volleyball, and tennis have begun their seasons. The spring fling was held last Friday on April 1st. Prom will be May 6th at Shepherd Hills Event Center, and we've sold over 200 tickets. AP testing will be held the first 2 weeks of May, and it is specific to the subject being tested. Keystone testing will be held in the last 2 weeks of May. The first play for Drama Club is this Friday, April 8th, and this Saturday, April 9th, and the play is Reading Girls. There's an Easter egg hunt fundraiser for the sophomore class Saturday, April 9th from 2 to 5 p.m. The BH Clothing Circle held a dual event where 88 bags of clothing were collected and 39 families came on March 29th. And prom distribution to students on March 25th and to the community on March 26th. The spring concert is on April 29th for senior citizens and May 3rd for the general public.
Thank you. Lauren?
At the intermediate school in fourth grade, the chicks hatched and were sent home on April 1st. The Kindness Club is collecting coins for Ukraine. There is a competition between fourth and fifth grade to see who can collect the most coins. There is also a BMX assembly coming to the intermediate school on Friday the 8th. The Kindness Club has also teamed up with communities in our schools for Teacher Appreciation Week, and the middle school is preparing for Teacher Appreciation Week as well in early May. The Scholastic Book Fair is here this whole week from the 4th to the 8th. For more exciting news, spring break is next week. There's a half day Friday the 8th, and then students don't come back until Tuesday the 19th. Towards the end of April, after spring break, sunflower lollipops will be for sale to raise money to send to UNICEF for Ukraine. Also at the end of April, on the 26th, 27th, and 28th are the ELA PSSAs. The PSSAs will then run into May as well. And Spirit Week in April is from the 25th to the 29th, and this month's themes are Pastel Day on Monday the 25th, Tuesday the 26th is Neon Day, Wednesday the 27th is Dinosaur Day, Thursday the 28th we're Blue for Autism Awareness, and Floral Friday on the 29th. And lastly, spring sports have started up. Baseball, softball, and track have all started their practices in preparation for their first games and meets.
Good job, Lise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you guys win tonight?
Oh, softball?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not on the team my sister plays.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I saw you in the thing on it. I got you confused. They won though.
Yeah.
That's good. I saw the other girls in the uniforms, and I saw your B on. And, sorry about that. But I'm glad you figured that out. Thanks.
All right, ready on the presentations.
So we have a really neat opportunity for you to share with you. This was rolled out last week, but I wanted to just take a moment here with the board. So we always do our bullet newsletter on a per season basis. This is the most recent version. And in the video, in the newsletter, we embedded the new video that is pushed out for our school district. And admittedly, it started as an opportunity to illustrate the culture within the school district for new hires. As everyone's struggling within the business world to try to find new employees, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to illustrate what's it like to work in the Brandywine School District. Well, it turned into much more than that. It really turned into who we are as a school district and the pride and the culture and who the students are and the program and the staff. And so I'd like to turn it over and just share this. It's a 3-minute video. If we could just, if I could have the board entertain me for just a couple minutes to watch this video.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Partnering with our community, our parents, and our staff, we work to help each child find their purpose and passion for learning. Our curriculum provides students with an integrated and comprehensive course of study, along with opportunities for exploratory learning. Welcome to the Brandywine Heights Area School District. Our programming is focused on ensuring that our students have access to as many opportunities as possible and fostering an environment where students learn and thrive. This mission is accomplished through the dedication of our first grade staff.
The school district is really the hub of the community. Here at Brandywine Heights, we really work to ensure that students are safe, healthy, engaged, supported, and challenged throughout their time here. Starting as a student teacher here now, fast forward to be the building principal is pretty cool. Here at Brandywine, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to take that route if there wasn't the support of colleagues and administration guiding me along the way and providing me really great opportunities to grow professionally.
The mission for Brandywine is students first. Being a kindergarten teacher, I have the unique opportunity to set the foundations for these students and continue to watch them grow. The vision and the mission and the goals that Brandywine has for their students and staff, it just really felt like it could be home for me, and I just really wanted to be a part of that.
Because it's a tight-knit community, one of the great things we get to do is see how our impact changes their lives. We can think outside the box to give experiences to students they wouldn't normally have. For instance, at the high school, we have virtual learning, in-person learning, and internships. So we can take each student and individualize an educational plan for each of them.
Serving as the main point of contact in the business office, I find my work very rewarding because the work that I do day in and day out impacts the entire school district. Brandywine Heights is a fantastic school district to work for. We collaborate every day to help our students reach new heights.
I love coming here every single day. Everything that I thought Brandywine was upon my research, it truly is.
One of the great things here is our staff gets to nurture the student through their whole educational career. And by the time they walk out our doors, not only do they feel like they have a relationship here, I think they feel like we did the absolute best that we could for them.
Brandywine enabled me to be myself and to be the best team member for the office that I can be.
For me, the most important thing is to ensure that we have staff that feel like they're part of a team. And together, we work to ensure the success of each of our students.
From our support staff to our teaching staff to our administration, each person plays a key role in supporting the more welcoming environment that allows our students to learn. We have great people that are very dedicated to our students that make Brandywine such a great place to be.
Welcome to the Brandywine Heights Area School District.
So I am really proud of that. Hopefully you as board members can be really proud of that. I love this video because it does a few things. One, the 4 people that are recognized there, obviously Miss Kelly, her story is really unique in terms of coming in as a student teacher and making her way to where she is as a leader in our school district as a principal. Mr. Kistler has been with us for many years now. He is the high school business teacher. He transitioned from actually insurance into a school system as a teacher, and has really been instrumental in starting her came into education and has really fit in very well. So to be able to highlight 4 unique people really kind of tells a neat story there. But I love the back imagery that goes along with the words. It just shows all the different programs from the woodshop to art to internships to virtual academy. You see a whole host of learning opportunities that are open for every student here. And when we talk about making sure every student is successful, that's really what it's all about. My my motto has always been, I want to make sure every student is successful when they walk out of this school district, whatever that is, whether it's the workforce, military, post-secondary. I just want to make sure that they're prepared for that next step in life. And I think this is a neat way to illustrate that in terms of the video. So we push that out in the newsletter. We push that out through our school messenger. We push it out through our social media posts. And we tagged it to our employment page. So that way, anyone that would be going for employment can see that right away, front and center. It tells a little bit of story, who we are, to try to get that messaging out. Again, hopefully you as board members can be just as proud of those as I am. Thanks for taking a few minutes to share that.
Great. So, any public comment? Yes, can you state your name?
Yeah, my name's Linda Pedersen. I'm a child in 9th grade. I do want to comment on the video and tell you this is an amazing school district. We came here in 7th grade from up north, and everybody that I have interacted with and had the pleasure of going the first day at school in 7th grade, he came home crying and said it was the worst day of his life. I reached out to the principal, who reached out back to me, called me, we talked, got Rowan involved. Rowan's in all the honors programs, looking at AP classes, looking to transition to the Reading Junior College in 11th grade. So that I will stand up anytime anybody says anything. I have nothing but positive words. And I've come to the high school with any questions and concerns, and everybody has been nothing but polite, pleasant, kind, professional. So that's all I have to say about that. But I also wanted to say, I'm in part of a group called Moms for Liberty, and there's a Berks County chapter. And I don't know how books get donated to the elementary or any of the libraries, but we were given books to donate to the library. And so I just wanted to give those to whoever.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
It's all for the elementary school stuff. So
okay, great. Yeah, we'll make sure we and we got to see a little bit of the library in that video. Yeah. So yeah, we'll make sure we get these over to the librarian.
Great. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Board of Directors report. They get a motion and a second. Motion. Second. Motion and a second. Turn it over to you, sir.
So thank you. We will be going through the Board of Directors report. Mrs. Patterson, thank you again for that donation. That's wonderful. And you said it was Moms for Liberty, right? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to make sure I had that correct. So a couple items under the Board of Directors report. The first one is the meeting minutes from the board meeting in March 7th. Any corrections that need to be made on those meeting minutes? There are some new policies that are up for consideration this evening. 7001 is facilities planning. Mrs. Hune had shared a few comments to the board. We had put some feedback back to the board via an email just to highlight those points. Within the facilities planning document, there were a few updates that we are going to be looking into. It specifically talks about census and the importance of doing a census birth to age 18. And so we're going to be looking into that because in the policy it specifically talks about that birth to 18. That birth to 5-year-old range is going to be the tricky one, and so we're working on how to figure out how to attain that data to be able to share that to the board for enrollment projections. We usually do that on the historical trend, and that's how we predict what the kindergarten is going to be based off of the historic and then the actual that comes in. So we're going to spend a little bit of time to try to figure out that census data piece of it. The other piece to note there was the additions in terms of housing additions that are included as part of a report to the school board. So we do get that from one of the municipalities, Rockland. We do not get it from the other 3, but we will look to try to gather that data and provide that to the board on a regular basis moving forward. And then the enrollment projections and data points, we do provide that on a regular basis during our budget meeting. So That is some of the feedback on that policy, but we will work to get those other data points for the board as it pertains to that policy there. 702, gifts, grants, donations. That policy is fairly unchanged from before. It's more of a regular review. So is 702.1 memorials. Sanitary management, 703. We updated the title on that one because we thought of sanitary management didn't seem to flow in terms of what maybe one might think. And so we've updated that title to be called, let me just make sure here, facility cleanliness. So there was one correction there in terms of a title. It used to say custodial supervisor, and so we adjusted that title. So a small adjustment in that policy there. 810 transportation is in there, and so the 810 transportation policy is a pretty substantial policy in terms of having information relative to discipline for students, in terms of the importance of where the routes are located, a whole bunch of information there. There were some minor tweaks that were made there based off of the recommendation relative to routes within or communal bus stops within the borough. And so we've made sure we put a clear statement in there that that's something we'll be evaluating on an annual basis moving forward. So that's an opportunity for the residents of Tompkins. And then the other ones, 810.1, 810.2, and 810.3 all relate back to transportation, and then are connected more to the drivers, driver records, drug and alcohol testing, and then 810.2 is specific to video audit recording. Any questions on those policies? Item C is the second reading. So unless there's any specific changes to those. The final thing is the resolution calling for charter school funding reform. We can do two things here. That the resolution is linked there. The resolution was something that the PSEA had developed and is a push for a majority of the school districts in Pennsylvania. And so, Mrs. Eisenhardt, I appreciate you suggesting putting this resolution together. We did modify that for the Brandywine School District. Would the board like me to read this, or is it okay just going on as the officially recognized seats?
Attached to the line lane, so
yeah.
I'm fine.
That's great. I was hoping you were going to say that, sir. I was prepared, but I was hoping you were going to say that.
Sorry for all your hard work away.
No, that's good. All right, that's the end of the items on the board of directors.
All right, committee reports. BCIU, Mrs. Hume.
Good evening, everybody. The last meeting of the BCIU Board of Directors was on Thursday, March 17th. I submitted the written report in the board documentation, and I don't really have anything critical to add at this point unless there are questions.
Perfect. Thank you. BCTC, Mr. Sheets is not here.
BCTC, I got the opportunity to go to the East Campus and fill in for Mr. Sheets. The culinary students were amazing. It was phenomenal what they did for us. Then we got to take a tour and got to see the greenhouse. We got to see the fish hatchery, and the director there is a great guy. I had an amazing time, but that's all I really have to report.
Awesome. It's a great experience. It is a neat program for sure. Berkshire Income Tax, Mr. Garrico.
Yes, we met virtually on March 31st. We went over, well, they had their audit, their December year end, so we went over the audit, through financial statements. There were no findings. We went over some review of collections and distributions and tax filing trends. EIT, depending on the district, anywhere from about 10 to 20% increase from prior year. We're about the 12% range. So that's good news. And obviously went through a slew of other taxes that we are not applicable to Brandywine. And then just talked about statements of financial interest and some other tax appeal activity. Our next meeting would be Thursday, June 30th.
Thank you. Cola, Mrs. Walliser.
Yes, April 12th is our next meeting, and it is going to be held all virtually. Dr. Madonna, a political science professor from Millersville University, is going to be reviewing the PA midterm election results with us and how it impacts schools.
Mrs. Walls there, he is phenomenal. I've seen him several times. He is amazing at his wealth of knowledge in terms of the political spider web. It's a great. It kind of goes like this, but it's a really neat presentation.
Okay, nice to know.
We're lucky to be able to have him come.
Cool.
One other piece of that, we had an opportunity Friday, the superintendents in Berks County to meet with the legislators that represent the senators and the representatives that represent Berks County. So myself, Dr. Faley and Dr. Hackman spoke with the legislators and presented on a few key topics that represent COLA, which is the cyber charter funding conundrum. We talked about the FIDs, the flexible instructional days. That was what we call those the virtual snow days. That law was put in place before COVID, and it had a limit of 5 because it was a new program. They put a lot of safety precautions in with that as they rolled that out. So we encouraged them to consider maybe removing that 5-day limit, or at least maybe that top limit of 5, moving that a little beyond that. When we looked at least our Brandywine average numbers, we're averaging between 5 and 6 snow days a year. And so you can kind of see that 5 is going to be just about captures there. So something to consider. And then the other piece we talked about was state mandates and the burden of what state mandates are. The BCIU, I think we talked about this before, has put together a comprehensive list of state mandates. And that list is 80 pages long with 11-page cheat sheet of those 80 pages of state mandates. So we also do something called PIMS uploads, and the PIMS uploads are state reports that have to get done. Carly is really the one that, Ms. Berman is the one that really oversees that for our school district. Almost every school district has hired some kind of data manager now throughout the Commonwealth because it is so burdensome. So those have increased from 57 2 years ago to 66 this year. It has continually just builds and builds and builds, and it has really become a burdensome process. So we talked to the legislators about that as well, just to fill them in on some of the behind-the-scenes pressures that we're feeling, not just here's all the training requirements and here's all the other mandates, but here's some real pieces that continually get asked of us by the Department of Education. So that was really the main talking points for Thank you.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Mr. Walliser. Already, strategic planning and goals, Mrs. Eisenhart. Negotiation Committee, Mr. Sheets.
I can just share that on March 21st and March 30th, the negotiation committee met. They were evaluating personnel items and specifically support staff.
Perfect. Building Construction Committee.
Yeah, so we are still trying to wrap up this project. We had a meeting with architect JCBA as well as the building contractors 2 weeks ago to point out the issues that are still remaining in terms of the punch list. Those items are slowly starting to get checked off. At this point, all parties are still working together to get all the items resolved, which is the good news. It's just a slow process. And then on the flip side, looking ahead, we are working with the Brewer Garrett company for the ESCO company. They did an on-site tour about 2-3 weeks ago with some of the committee members. We had a chance to walk around the facilities, evaluate the different priority lists, and then we had a meeting last week to just debrief from that and continue to refine that process. So that is still anticipated to be done towards the end of this school year with a report or recommendation to the board for consideration for projects moving forward.
Does KCBA have a deadline? Do they know when they're going to be all out up here?
It's not necessarily a deadline. We just
Have they been paid in full? Or are they still?
yeah.
Any additional questions, comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. Reitauer?
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser? Yes. Mr. Wagaman?
Yes.
8 yeas, motion passes.
Thank you. Business and operations, can I get a motion and a second?
Motion right now.
Second, Walliser.
Yeah, so items A through D are to approve the bills list. There were some questions. I don't know if everybody had a chance to review the emails. The general fund, there was a question about contact trace your cell phone. That line was canceled, but that was for the February charges. So you'll see that kind of drop off. There was an interview referral bonus. This was approved back in December as part of the recruiting and retention efforts. So there's a charge for $44 there. So approved item A through April 4th is 2.7 million. Then we go to item B, which is the approved food service fund bills, totaling $27,387.35. There's a question there about what is spent on supplies. You'll kind of see it broken out. There's supplies and there's also food. The supplies are basically your food packaging costs, cookware, cleaning supplies, eating utensils, etc. So you'll see kind of food, milk, and then supplies. So then on to item C, the construction fund, bills totaling $45,091.50. Item D is the approved capital reserve, totaling $751.25. And agenda item E is to approve the financial reports through February 28th, 22. Items 1 through 4 are the revenue and expenditure reports. And then you'll see the investment schedule, the student and activity and trust fund report, and there's no budget transfers to report. If anybody has any questions?
I have just a quick follow-up on the business handout E.2,
Okay.
Where you referenced the food service supplies.
Okay.
What flagged my attention, so we spent $13,800 or so actual last year. This year, there's no budget. And so that's really what flagged my attention. Is there a reason why we didn't budget for that same line item in the current year?
So I can't speak to why there was something budgeted. My guess is everything is lumped into the 600s as a total. And then at the end of the year, when we do the budget transfers, we'll kind of just fill in the gaps of what the actual expenses to match. Because there's 635, there's 632, 610. So my guess is it was just budgeted collectively as a whole, and they'll just transfer at the end of the year. That would be my guess.
If you discovered that that's not the case, just give us a heads up. Yeah, thanks.
Just fair to point out, I think everyone recognizes, I know you recognize, but Nicole wasn't here when she developed that, but that budget was developed last year.
If there's no more questions, I'll move on to special education, pupil services. This item 1 is to approve the 22 summer work experience assessment program for special education students as presented in F1. This is designed for youth with disabilities. Basically, they have the opportunity to learn basic work skills throughout the summer. And I think they earn a paycheck. I think it takes about 6 kids. And then this is an agreement between basically the Goodwill and Brandywine Heights Area School District. I believe this is a program we've done for several years and will continue to do. Then item G, curriculum technology. These 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. This is online registration and also the online payment agreement. This is for Infinite Campus. Basically everything will integrate together for our student information system. This is just 2 of the pieces for the 22-23 school year, and that'll replace Power School registration in My School.
Nicole, I'll just interject real quick, just to kind of fill people. That SWEET program, so some of our special education students are entitled to an opportunity called ESY, Extended School Year. So if they are not meeting their educational goals for the year, they get that opportunity to continue their education over the summer. When students enter more into high school age, this is an opportunity to give them more hands-on work experience versus the academic ESY, typical ESY program. So that's what this SWEET program is. It's a really neat opportunity where 6 students this year will get that hands-on work experience to be prepared them for that transitional phase in their life once they graduate here from Brandywine. Thanks for letting me just digress for a second. Sorry, Nicole.
Then moving on to facilities maintenance, item 1 is to approve a contract with Brandywine Company to repair the high school tennis courts. I think most of you saw the photo where there was a sinkhole at the edge of the tennis court. It was temporarily fixed to get through the season. This is to repair it permanently. So that's attached. And then item 2 is to approve the contract with Miller Flooring to sand and finish the high school gym floor at a total cost of $4,600. And then item 3 is a renewal. It's a 5-year agreement with CM3 to do building automation, preventative maintenance for the HVAC systems. Year 1 is about a 4.75% increase from this current year. And item 4 is to approve the proposal with Johnson Controls. They inspect and service our fire alarm and sprinkler systems. This will be for the 22-23 school year at a cost of about $15,000. This is about a $2,500 increase. They didn't have the right number of devices within our buildings, so when they went out and counted, they noticed that we have more than they had on their record. So that's kind of explains the increase. Item I is to approve a contract with Don Kaufman Sewing Machines. They come out and service our sewing machines. We have about 30 sewing machines, about 9 of them need repair. There's no increase from prior year, it's about $40 per machine. And then item J is to approve the BCTC operating budget of $20 million. That represents an increase of 3.23%. Brandywine portion, about $593,000. That's an increase of about 4.46%. Basically, how they determine our allocation is based off the 3-year historical look back of our participation numbers, which has gone up, so that would account for the increase. Item J is to approve a 2-year agreement with STS. They're our substitute teacher service to provide substitute services. This is the rates that we agreed in an addendum back in December. There's no increase since then. And then item K is to approve a 2-year extension with SOS. They're our custodians. And you'll see that's an addendum to the contract that was approved back in 2019. And kind of L is related to J is we went out to RFP, results came back. There was 4 vendors and the costs were not feasible, so we're rejecting all those proposals. So we would reject those and approve the 2-year extension. And that's all I have.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenfeld?
Yes.
Mrs. Hume? Yes. Mr. Rightower?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallager?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenberg? Yes. Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
8 yeas, motion passes.
So under Superintendent Report, we actually do not have any items, but Mr. Volker was really excited. He couldn't wait to put a federal programs presentation together for you as a board member. So I told him not to do it, but he insisted that we do a federal programs presentation. So we just went through an audit for federal programs. Mr. Volker will share the pain point stories of that in a second. But as doing so, we had to do some presentation about the federal programs, what federal programs are, and how that impacts our school district. So we actually thought it might be just a couple high-level slides of what federal programs are, how it impacts the school district, and some of the dollars. It's only 1% of our budget, quite honestly, but at least gives you a flavor to understand when we talk about that Title I, when we talk about Title II or Title IV. Most often you hear us talk about Title I. What does that actually mean? So, Mr. Volker?
Yes, thank you, sir.
You're welcome for the opportunity.
So, federal programs comes with a lot of red tape. Specifically, we were just going through an audit that I believe went very well. But with that, there were actually 172 documents that we had to submit as part of that process. So as you can imagine, that is very time consuming. But I enjoyed every minute of it, he says in a public session. 172.
How many?
I counted several times because I couldn't believe it. That being said, one of the things that we should be doing is a presentation, and we do this in different ways, but we're looking to streamline our practice moving forward, and in a public setting, go through how we utilize federal dollars, and we're supposed to do this prior to making the next year's grant application. So the grant applications usually come out in around May, June, And then we complete that, and it has to be submitted by July 1, and then we go through, there's a funding adjustment period, lots of fun year round. But here we are today. I thought I'd go through just really what it is that we do with Title I. So since the pandemic hit, we actually saw a rather significant bump in our federal dollars, in ESSER funds also, but also with our Title I dollars. So Title I, this year we have received $328,000, and we have a choice as a school district. How do we want to utilize those funds? So what we have up here are a list of allowable expenditures. I have in bold and in red academic support for at-risk students, because that is how we as a district choose to allocate those Title I dollars. Specifically, we use that money towards salary and benefits for our interventionists in the titled buildings, which are the most economically disadvantaged buildings, which is the elementary, then intermediate middle, and then high school. That's the order of that. Again, we could choose to use it for supplies and materials, parent and family engagement, professional development, but with each one of those things, there is a whole slew of documentation that must be tracked. By far, the best way to go with our Title I dollars is that academic support, to make sure that we're closing the gap of our neediest students. So that's how we use Title I. Again, at the end of this, I'll open it up for any questions, comments you have. Title II, we received $56,000. Again, my guess is next year will be somewhere within the same ballpark. Probably we'll start to see a decline over subsequent years. But again, this year it was $56,000. We can again use this for professional development, career readiness, or class size reduction. As a school district, we have historically, actually ever since I've been here, used Title II funds for class size reduction. So what that means is we identify, okay, if it wasn't for federal dollars, we would actually have to reduce a teacher here. But because we have Title II funds, we can apply those funds towards salary and benefits for a teacher to retain that staff member so we can keep lower class sizes. Then, Title IV, which was new in 2017, you have 3 different areas that you can allocate these funds: for well-rounded education, safe and healthy students, and effective use of technology. Again, each one of those subcategories, there are a lot of stipulations that goes along with it, but as a district, we've identified a well-rounded education as the biggest area of need for our school district. So specifically, we've been using Title IV funds to turn our, what were traditional libraries, into more of a learning commons, maker spaces. So that's what we've done since 2017. We believe that we are actually getting our libraries to a very good place at this point in time. They're being utilized well in a non-traditional sense as well. And we're looking next year to utilize Title IV dollars actually towards musical instruments. So that is, as of now, how we are looking to utilize Title IV funds. However, it should be noted that we are listening to feedback.
How many documents was that, Mr. Walker?
172, sir. So, by all means, we maintain an open door. If something hits you later, you're like, hey, I wonder if we could use federal dollars in a different way. By all means, never hesitate to reach out. But that is an overview of our Title I, II, and IV programs and how we are planning and have used funds.
Nicely done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Nothing in there for a new dishwasher?
And nothing for a new dishwasher.
Actually, we only got lucky. The whole dishwasher was not destroyed. It was just a couple parts that I did replace. Yeah, we got really lucky.
Surprising.
Yes. Thank you, Donna.
All right, moving on, personnel report. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion right.
Mr. Rayner, you're on a roll.
Earning your paycheck.
Second, Eisenhower.
So under personnel report, we have 2 resignations this evening. One is our elementary school part-time recess cafeteria. I'm sorry.
Did we approve the superintendent?
There was no report, it was just a presentation.
Oh, yeah, we didn't have any items for, yep. Good question though.
Okay.
Yeah, there, roll calls in here. We actually should have not had that in there, but we never had a motion and a second on that because there was no superintendent item. The second resignation this evening, it's a weird one. It's connected to 3A, but the teacher took a long-term sub position, worked with us for 2 days,
and then resigned from that position. So that's why those two are connected. So you'll see that further on. Neat opportunity, and I thank the board for encouraging the administration to do this, but we had posted the position for our students to help us in terms of some custodial services as student helpers after school hours. So we have 9 students that reached out to us and are willing to do this, and they're going to be working with us after school. Of course, schedules dictate, but 3 hours a day. It's a really great opportunity. They'll be working primarily in this building or the elementary school, just because of the connection, because they're high school students, we didn't want them necessarily working in that building. But a great opportunity. Again, I thank the board for encouraging us to look for some alternate pathways.
Could we use any of those students for across the board or not?
No.
I know it's a long shot, but I want to ask.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
Okay.
But I would be hesitant to have them be put in that situation with the traffic. Item B is to approve a support staff member to be a summer custodial work rate. So that is Ms. Linda Reiner, who is our head cook at the middle school here. We had the long-term sub I spoke about earlier. We had the co-curriculars on 4A, which is kind of wrapping up the spring co-curricular approvals. And then finally, we have a leave of absence under E1 for an employee from March 25th at the end of the year for paid sick days for medical.
Something came up. A couple weeks ago, we started track and field. And the first day we had track and field with the middle school, the bus actually left without half of the team. How's that happen?
So we did contact the bus company. I know Mr. Geis actually got on the van and transported the students. Honestly, I think it was just the first day routine process that occurred. That subsequently, the bus driver does have a checklist of students now, and I do not believe there's been any subsequent issues since that first week of getting the routine back up and established.
Question number 2, different topic. The walkers that we have from Toptic, are we responsible if anything happens to them?
So there's designated walking routes that the borough is working on establishing through PennDOT. That is part of the traffic study to establish the road out here as the official school zone, the safety school zone. And so we have to designate walking routes within the borough to be able to get to Topton safely. Coincidentally, Mr. Pratt and I had this conversation the other day about the responsibility for students getting home. The school district ultimately has the responsibility of a student from door to door. So when they leave in the morning, they're in school until they get back home. So we do, in some way, have responsibility for those walkers until they get home. If that walker student would go home, go to the park, do something nefarious at the park, or go some alternate way beyond their normal path of getting home, then the school district would not be responsible. But if something would happen on their way home, let's say, I'll just throw a scenario out. Some kids are jawing at each other in school and there's some friction that happened. And then there's a nexus between what happened in school and then on the way home to get in a fight. That would still be a school-related issue. And discipline-wise, we would investigate that and be able to make a connection there, that there was a school connection. Now, again, they say that happens and the kids are on their way home and there's no connection to school and they go out in the park and they get mad at each other playing basketball. But if there's a deviation from that path home, then we would not be if it's on that path home.
Okay, so they're on the designated path, they fall, break a leg, or get hit by a vehicle, or any such thing, we're responsible?
No, you are not responsible for that because under the political subdivision towards Claim Act, there are only certain reasons you can be successfully sued. And one of those, let's just use your example, if they trip on something on the way to school, that would be the responsibility of either the township or the municipality where that sidewalk located, not where, it's not your property. You'd also have to be a defective property for them to be free to be liable. So that's not it either. It's just more of a responsibility in the regard of your being able to discipline them or to guide them as they go home. If they're hit by another car, that's not their responsibility. PennDOT is their responsibility in regard to designate the ways that they're supposed to travel, what are safe roads. So would there be their designation related to, or their responsibility to make sure that they are safe. So your liability is very limited, but your responsibility, as I said, is doorstep to doorstep. Could be that, you know, discipline as well as certain other aspects that may come into play, really case by case.
Could we get, is there a way to just take walkers away altogether, or is that out of the question? Like, would it be simpler if everyone was just on the bus? Because then the pathway is a lot smaller.
I honestly, I'm just trying to speak for, I don't know why we would do that. Because students are walking to school now. As Mr. Pratt said, the liability isn't there. We've created communal bus stops. And so students and families have that opportunity to go to the communal bus stops. And now we've afforded that opportunity to and from school. And so I think we're doing a lot more than most districts do within a walking distance of town by creating those communal bus stops and affording that opportunity, in addition to having the pathways to the school and having we have at least one crossing guard. We should have more, but at least we have one crossing guard to get the students safely across the main busy road there.
I'm just looking for the safest possibility for kids, but yes.
I don't think it would be feasible, quite honestly, to be able to try to do house-to-house pickups within the borough. And so by creating that communal bus stop, like even in our board policy regarding bus transportation, it speaks about a 500-foot distance between the bus stop and having students walk to the nearest area. And because the idea is that you wouldn't want to have the bus start, stop. You want to create some distance between those 500 feet. What's it called?
May I ask a follow-up question, if you don't mind? What problem are we trying to solve with your line of questioning? Like, are you concerned that there's been incidents? Just based on my tenure, almost 12 years, on what we've never, to the best of my recollection, had an issue that at least made it to the board level. So I'm just curious, like, is something going on that you're concerned about, or are we just preponderance of caution?
I had two incidents. The one incident is our crossing guard stopped the traffic for our students to cross. The first car stopped, the second car stopped, and then the third car, I don't know what they were doing. We had a chain reaction, bam, bam, bam. And there is a reason why we stopped the traffic, so the kids can safely cross. Now, yes, nothing happened, but there was a great possibility that it could have happened. My other concern is I was at the intermediate school picking up my daughter, my middle daughter, and when I picked her up, we had a student walking home, and he wasn't on a sidewalk or anything, and he slipped off the curb, and he was laying in the street in front of my Jeep. And I praise the Lord that I did not hit this student. And when these two things happen, I start getting concerned. I don't want to see any kids get hurt. That's my main concern. And I'm new to the board, so maybe I just don't totally understand. But to me, I just feel like the safest route is take that busy road out of the picture and put them all on the bus. Now with the budget, I don't know if that's possible, but that's how I'm looking at it.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we've talked quite a few times about trying to solve this problem of the crossing guard not being there and our inability to successfully hire for that position. Just brainstorming crazy potentially ideas. I mean, would cones, if we put cones in that area where the crosswalks are, or flags, or I don't know, something more visual until we can backfill a crossing guard with the appropriate gear and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else that we could brainstorm or try and support, short of busing every student, which I agree is just not realistic or feasible in my personal opinion. But I hear your concern, and we've had this concern repeatedly, month after month.
Oh, it's not a recognized school zone yet, so that's part of the issue.
to that main road is a PennDOT road, which is not recognized as a school zone. For years and years, we have just flashing lights and people have abided by that, but it's not an official school zone, so you can't just start throwing cones up on PennDOT road until we have.
What do we have to do to get it to be one?
That's
Well,
in the
we're
process.
with the borough right now to get that
So
accomplished.
is it the borough or is it the state? That's a state road. I
The
think.
borough has to apply to the state to PennDOT.
We've got to do traffic studies.
All right, so now it's time to go talk to our representatives in Harrisburg.
That was my question.
It's time now that whoever your representative is, give them a call, tell them that we have a problem and we need his help.
Yeah, so far, honestly, the process has went pretty smooth, but if it's snail-based, that's exactly where I was, because we talked about with the borough. In fact, Representative McKenzie has an office within the borough that they have some city.
Yeah, I know when he's very relaxed to me. You know, occasionally when I've asked him some information, I still haven't heard from him. That's 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I understand that the next thing I'll be knocking on his door.
Has the state given us some feedback in terms of what kind of time frame to anticipate changes to that road?
I'll follow up. I haven't heard anything. Kind of, we were peripheral to the process. It was really top the borough that was leading it. The last I talked to this maybe like 2 weeks ago or so.
Yep.
It was moving at a very quick pace compared to what I even thought it was going to go. So we'll follow up. That's a good question.
And the crossing guards, do they follow like background checks and everything like that too? So we couldn't really do like volunteer for all the dads in unless they were checked.
Yeah. So one of the things we are doing in terms of what was approved this evening with custodians, this is long-term, doesn't solve the immediate problem, but we're looking to create a daytime custodian position and make sure that daytime person is also trained as a crossing guard. So that if there is a backfill, our goal is obviously to fill that, but we can backfill with that person as an emergency. Some help there. We talked to us about that in part of this contract conversation. I will follow up with a timeline now on that application. I think that's a good point.
And once that school zone's designated, we'll probably have more success with the state police as well, monitoring that on a more regular basis.
And we've reached out to state police, we've reached out to the fire company, traffic control companies who try to. Someone has an idea though, please let me know. Because we're trying to.
What does the training entail?
There is a traffic control training. It's
online.
It's
I think
online.
It's 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you pass the test, then you're allowed to further across. I believe it's free.
So there might be
Your own stop sign.
There might be some small cost.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
like under $100.
Roof supply stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. The best stop sign in the feed to do the trick.
I'm thinking in terms of the veterans organizations locally, this might be really outlandish, but like something like the Reading Motorcycle Club, maybe, I mean, some of these organizations that, the legions that have sort of reputations for being rather community-minded. I mean, we've got appeal. We're talking about young kids, safety, and worried about them getting hit by a car. And, you know, the politicians will perk up, and the state will perk up really fast if, heaven forbid, we have a tragic incident.
Has anybody approached the fire company in Joplin?
We did, and Lions.
And private companies.
And private security firms.
Flagger Force.
That Flagger Force company.
Yeah.
We contacted them.
Legal law enforcement.
Yeah, law enforcement, and then we contacted KRE. Yeah. Reached out to them, a security firm. All right, let me follow up. We'll try to beat VFW as well, and then bring a timeline for the application. And Mr. Hefner, to your point, and Alexis, we'll definitely look into, if we don't get movement on this timeline, reach out to our legislators.
I'm not even sure if Mackenzie's still our state rep. I just got an email the other day, and I think Dave Maloney took over. They redid the districts.
When that takes effect, right now he currently is, yeah.
Any additional comments, questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion right now.
Second is correct.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Just remind